Recently, I was out with a friend and we got talking about investing because he invests as well. And he said to me, man, Johnny, like individual stocks are not the one. Like they're not the one. Now, if this friend had said this to me a year ago, this would have been a very different conversation. I'd be like, whoa, chill, bro, chill. Individual stocks, that's where it's at. But this is a year on. And my response to him was, I agree. It was this conversation that made me realize that I've stopped paying attention to individual stocks lately, and to some extent I've lost interest in individual stocks. So let's talk about it. Let's get into the video. Welcome to Millennials with Money. My name is Johnny and thank you for joining me for this video. Reason number one why I've stopped investing in individual stocks is because the market is kind of unpredictable and not that interesting for me right now. If you follow my Trading 212 series, you know the market, it's been a roller coaster year. It's been all over the place. Dipped at the start of the year. It's starting to make its way back up. But a lot of people are talking, is there another market crash coming? But you guys know me, I'm not one to jump on the hype like that. I hear it, I take it into account, but is it going to influence my investing strategy ultimately? Not really. With that said, the last few times that I've looked out for individual stocks to invest in, there's nothing really that caught my eye. There's nothing that I found really interested me and that was at an attractive price. So with that in mind, ETFs and index funds would probably be a much better option in this case. You can just dollar cost average in over the long term because you know that in theory, the long-term trend is up. There'll be peaks and there'll be dips, but you generally know where the market's headed, and dollar cost averaging in that situation is a good way to go. And why don't I just keep dollar cost averaging into individual stocks? Well, I mentioned this a bit in a prior video I did on why I invest in dividend stocks. And for me, honestly, the price has to be right. I'm sorry, dollar cost averagers. I do love dollar cost averaging, but I think it's best suited to ETFs and index fund investing. Yes, it can be used to some extent with stocks, but when you buy a stock, the price at which you have to buy, in my opinion, it has to be undervalued. The price has to be right. And when I say there's nothing that's really caught my eye, yes, there's been a few stocks with good business models that are interesting companies, but the price, for me, it just hasn't been right. Reason number two is that I'm already holding a lot of individual stocks. And I alluded to this in my last Trading 212 update. I had about 20 companies in my Euro stocks pie alone. And bear in mind, I have another 10 companies outside of that. So that's at least 30 individual companies that I'm holding shares in. Now that's not bad, but if I add any more, then it's going to become a lot. Being diversified is generally a good thing, but the same way that you can be under-diversified, you can actually be over-diversified, and that can hurt your returns in the long run as well. Going back to what I just said about stocks I already own, so number one, the price has to be right. If the price is not right, then it doesn't really make sense to dollar cost average into them. And number two, if I keep dollar cost averaging into these stocks, if I keep buying into them, then my allocations for certain stocks may change, and I may end up being too exposed to one stock or not have enough exposure to a sector that I want to have exposure to. So that's another reason why I haven't played too much with my current stocks that I have when it comes to investing more into them. Point number three is also something that I mentioned in my previous Trading 212 video, is that I have reviewed my financial goals from the first half of the year and I need to change up my strategy a little bit. Now, without getting into the details, I need to free up some capital for some other investments that I want to make in the medium term. Because my Trading 212 portfolio exists to build wealth over the long term, and I will still contribute to it, as I've alluded to, but just smaller contributions, I decided to take away some of that future capital to be able to make these medium-term investments that I want to make. And again, I won't get into the details, but this is definitely going to be worth it if all works out in these medium-term investments. And reason number four, man, who am I kidding? Like, investing in individual stocks is time consuming, so long. I have stock analysis video on this channel, and the amount of time it takes to pull together all that information, to read it, analyze it, digest it, make sense of what it means, and then in the end, you may not even invest in the company because the numbers aren't right. It's a lot of time, honestly. Trust me, when you think about an ETF, an index fund, when you get a couple of pages of a prospectus and you can see what are the main assets in it, what sector does it cover, what's the historical performance, what is the expected future performance, especially if you're investing in something like the S&P 500 where you've got a good idea of where it's going to go long term. It's so much more time efficient. And for me, it's really about getting back my time, because when I first started investing, like, I was on the learning curve. I was super excited. It didn't mind me. I've had to spend hours looking through a balance sheet, an income statement, all those kind of reports, you know. It was learning for me. It was all new. And I thought it was the norm. During the first lockdown, this YouTube channel didn't exist. My Instagram page existed, but it was like picture posts per day. There was no TikTok that I was doing. Now I'm really spending a lot of time trying to grow this channel, trying to give you guys quality content to educate you. And that takes time, it takes effort. And when there's like ETFs and index funds that I can invest in much more easily than sitting through like hours of stock analysis for an individual stock that I may not even invest in, honestly, I think the time needs to be spent in Millennials with Money, and I can say, okay, let me just put the money in ETFs and index funds. So, am I never going to invest in an individual stock again? Am I going to sell all the ones I have? I will invest in individual stocks again at some point, it's sure. There are positives to investing in individual stocks, like having complete control over your asset and sector and geographical allocation, for example, and not to mention, of course, the fantastic dividends, which is something that I love to receive, what I've loved to receive from all the individual stocks that I do hold. It's just that right now, it's not a priority for me to sit down and analyze individual stocks. As I've said, I really want to grow this channel. I want to be able to spend as much time as I can growing this channel. And as much as I do need to take care of my own investments, this channel is an investment in itself. And I do already have a really nice selection of individual stocks. I will not sell them until it is absolutely time. I plan to hold them long term, because that was the plan when I bought them, and I'm not going to change course just because of this video, right? If an interesting investment opportunity comes up, then yeah, sure, I'll check it out. I'll maybe look through it, and I may end up even investing in it. All this is about bit of change in asset allocation, changing my investment allocation so that I can free up more time to focus on what matters. And right now, this channel and giving you guys good content is what matters. My investments are going to be good. They're all automated. They're working for me. And spending time in analyzing individual stocks, that's me spending time to make my money work for me when it's already doing the work. So guys, I know a lot of you watching the channel like individual stocks. Leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on this video, and if you've had any similar thoughts as well, I'd be interested to hear. Now check out these videos, and if you're not yet subscribed and you want to see more content like this, then make sure you hit the subscribe button with the notification bell so you don't miss a single update. I'll see you on the next one, and let's get this money. I didn't quite go to plan.